This exercise is going to be a really good setup for learning how to work on the strength of your mid and upper thoracic spine. A lot of times when we do a lot of the thoracic mobility drills, we end up moving through the areas of our spine that we're already really good at. Your thoracic spine has 12 segments, so we can move at maybe one or two of the lower segments where a lot of movement typically happens, and not necessarily be getting more mobility and strength at the mid or upper parts of the spine. So this is going to help, one, decrease how much your lumbar spine can help you, and also help you use less of your lower thoracic spine as well. So when you're doing this exercise, it's really important that you feel the muscles along your spine, kind of between your shoulder blades. So we're looking at that mid to upper back area. That's what you should be feeling. For this setup, you're going to come to the edge of a chair, and then you're gonna want some sort of rolled up towel. This is just a hip thrust pad. It doesn't need to be super thick, but it's something that you can kind of crunch into, which is gonna give you feedback on maintaining this position and keeping your lumbar spine flexed. So we wanna put that in your stomach. Then for this exercise, there are a couple ways you can do this. Typically, I like to have arms overhead, but you can also do this with your arms straight overhead like so. What we are going to be thinking about doing is hinging through a couple of the segments in the mid and upper back. So here's what it will look like. Get into position, stay rounded in your low back, come down into flexion, and then lift up. Now, the range of motion that you're able to achieve will be dependent on your strength. We want to lift as high as we can without any pain, and we really just want to be feeling like we can access those muscles and feel like we can move through those segments in our spine. For a lot of people, this will be really challenging. You may feel like it's hard to breathe, you shouldn't be holding your breath, and you may also feel some stuff in your neck. We want to think about keeping the neck really long, so keeping that chin not necessarily packed, but retracted a little bit. So we imagine somebody's pulling us from a string from the top of our head, and we're just staying long as we do that. The movement should be here, and we should not be compensating in our necks. Once you get pretty proficient at the body weight version, and you can do them pretty well, you can move on to using a kettlebell or a small weight plate, and that will look like so. We're gonna hold this behind our heads, get into the same position, and do the movement. Now, you can still use the yoga mat, towel, whatever you're using here, or if that is uncomfortable, you don't have to. It is just yet another way to minimize how much you compensate in the low back. So typically when I have people do this, we're gonna go to fatigue or go until we start to lose some range of motion. Really what I typically like for people to do is work on holding at that end, that top position for a good second or two, just to feel those muscles and squeeze them. And over time, you should feel like you can progress in how far you're able to go, how easy the exercise feels, how much access and connection you have to your mid and upper back, and how many reps you can do, and then eventually progressing with weight too. So if you are looking to work on improving your thoracic spine extension strength, this is a really great exercise to tack on to your other thoracic mobility exercises.